Brice is from Rendition. We're happy to say that Rendition is a sister company to Black Hills Information Security. They also do a lot of SOC. Really, if you're looking for a good defensive company, kind of manage, look at your logs, and detect attacks, Rendition is fantastic. And then this particular presentation, I was a little bit sad whenever I read the write-up for this particular one. Just give you a heads up. Breaking into banks like a boss. Breaking into banks, I think, is one of the most exciting things in pen testing when you do it for the first couple of times. But after about the 15th or 20th bank, you start to get a little bit scared. And then anything beyond that, you just want to curl up under your bed and hide. So to help people get to the point where they're curling up and hiding under their beds, Brice is going to take us and talk about how we can get to that level of paranoia. So take it away, sir.
Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for the introduction there. Definitely spot on. This talk will definitely, I actually talk about it. Like, I have a slide in here where I talk about where I've done physical pen tests, and then with several clients now where I've done remediation testing, right? Testing them again. And well, we'll get into that. But yeah, definitely makes people curl up like a ball. Anyways, for situational awareness here, this is very difficult for me, especially being a professional social engineer, right? I need feedback. I want to see people's faces and them being like, oh yeah, I understand what you're saying, or have that confused look, so I can be like, okay, let me re-explain this for someone. So this is gonna be a little difficult, especially the dry air whenever I lay out a joke. Typical life, all my jokes suck, but hey, we're gonna push on. So yeah, thanks for joining me. I really appreciate it. Thanks Wild West Hacking Fest for having me. Definitely very cool. And then San Diego looks a lot like my house. So, but yeah, all jokes aside, they've done a fantastic job with this conference, making it virtual. It is just really cool. I'm sure this is going to be the future. Definitely pioneers, rock on. This is very cool. So yeah, an overflow of gift reactions. I think that would. I think that bad jokes. Appreciate it. Yeah. I might be the founder. I'm a little young, but I might be the founder of the Bad Jokes Club. I don't know. It's not really bad jokes. It's more just bad jokes. I like dad jokes. So physical pen testing, social engineering, breaking into banks like a boss. Let's get started. So who am I? So I'm Brice Self. That's my Twitter handle. _, be selfless. So I'm our physical pen test lead at Rendition InfoSec. I'm also our custodial engineer, if you will. So I'm just kidding. I do a lot of things with Rendition. I've been with the company for quite some time. I absolutely love it. Learn something every day, and it's just a great company to work for. So prior to that, I was in the U.S. Navy. I was a CT intel guy. I know it's an oxymoron being in the military and military intel, and then just me. It's no fun. And then I was in some other stuff, three-letter agency, that kind of thing. So, take it for what it's worth. And then whenever I'm not doing these talks, I like to camp. I like motorcycles, doing DIY stuff, and then breaking into your office. That's one of my favorite things to do. So I'm with Rendition InfoSec. That's the Twitter handle up there. So like John said, we do digital forensics, incident response. We do obviously red team and pen testing as well. Audit and assessments, training, staff mentoring, all that fun stuff. And then we're MSSP 24/7 SOC in Augusta, Georgia, our headquarters. And then there is our ambulance. That's Hacky McHackface. That's real. That's not Photoshop. That is actually a rolling cybersecurity enhancement unit. So it's pretty fun. We try to bring it out to a couple cons, and people have a good time. Run a CTF out of it. It's really cool. So what we're going to be talking about, so this is kind of the overview. We're going to be talking about physical security and pen testing, what it is, why it's important, especially to me, but not only myself, right, being a cybersecurity professional here, but also to our clients, and then also you as a stakeholder where you might be invested in this company, right? It's super important. Some common misconceptions. So as I've been doing this as a professional, I've come across some things, right? I've come across some people that don't believe I do what I do, or can't believe how I did it, or just flat out deny it, or don't know how I did it, right? So we're going to go over a couple of those things, really fun. And then I'm going to teach you guys basically how to do it, how to understand this physical pen testing art, if you will, because it's definitely not science, right? And how to understand it and how to do it yourself and to apply. Apply legally. If you do this, don't do this illegally. There is a certain point where you get into some illegal areas. There's some lessons learned. What I've learned along the way, kind of what I've changed in my ways, how I've gone about breaking into buildings, and just kind of learning from however many I've done along the way. And then how to stop me. Obviously, if you could take anything from this talk, it's that slide right there, is how to prevent someone from getting into your building, because it's just super easy for me to get in, and it's as easy for me to get in as it would be easy for one of our clients to be able to put something in place and basically prevent me from getting in. And then we're going to go over some frequently asked questions, and then we're going to get into questions. Well, Rob Joyce said it best, don't assume a crack is too small to be noticed or too small to be exploited. Well-run networks make our job hard. Whenever I do my physical pen testing, just like I know we have hackers, our keyboard guys, I'm doing it the exact same way. If I find something small, that low-hanging fruit, something that someone says, oh, there's no way they're going to actually do that, and they don't do anything about it, that's the way I'm getting in, right? So you just want to make sure you're constantly checking up on these things, because just never take it for granted, never get complacent, and adversaries going to take advantage of any opportunity that they have. So how do you physical assessment? To define it, physical pen test is to measure the strength of existing physical security controls and uncover their weaknesses before bad actors are able to discover them or exploit them. So what are we doing? We're doing a B&E, right? We're just breaking into a building. In my case, it's legal, right? What we get paid to do. However, it doesn't matter if I can get into a building, right? It doesn't matter if I can steal certain things and your server and all this stuff, and that's all well and good. But at the end of the day, how can I use this information to basically better our clients to say, hey, this is how I did it. This is what you can do to prevent that. And that's the goal, because we don't want bad actors to be able to do that. True story, I had a client contact me or contact us not too long ago, and they were like, hey guys, I just want to re-thank you for doing that physical pen. We actually had some individuals try to get into our building intentionally to do who knows what, right? And luckily, because of what Rendition did, because we did a pen test before then, the security team was able to stop them and prevent who knows what, right? So definitely a great thing to hear. So why is it important? So it's super important to me. I'm super passionate about it. There's like an old wives' tale, old story I hear, especially around cybersecurity cons, where there's a CTF, right? Let's take a CTF. I know we have one going on here. Say we have Team A on one side of the room and Team B, and then you have the moderators obviously in the center with the server sitting there on the table, and they go, okay, hey, listen up. Team A and Team B, you guys basically need to figure out where their vulnerabilities are in the server and completely own the server, completely own the data, right? So then Team A just starts hacking away, right? They just start, plugging away, see what vulnerabilities are there, what open ports, protocols, all that fun stuff. Any hackers in the room? This is what you guys are going to be doing. You guys are just going to be hacking away, right? And then Team B kind of looks over and they take a second and they go, you know what? He just said we have to own the data, right? Like, we just have to have the data, and that's just it, right? So Team B gets up and they just walk over to the server and they unplug it, and then they take that server and they sit back down, right? So who actually owns the data now, right? It's not Team A, because they can't connect to it anymore. Team B has the data, right? And that's what we're talking about is because that physical part was overlooked. It's still the same thing, right? Your hackers can definitely get into networks and get that data. But what if I can just walk in to the front door, bypass security or whatever measures you have in place, take that server, right? And then now I have the data, and that was so much easier, right? And quicker and sometimes cheaper. My personal opinion, I think it's one of the most overlooked areas of our industry. Some common misconceptions, right? So I actually developed this talk. There's a lot of great physical pen testers out there. I'm sure you guys know of a couple. Deviant, he's a great physical pen tester. But I heard a lot of these talks, and a lot of them are like, oh yeah, we got into this building, and then we picked these locks, and then we opened the safe, and we used the elevators to do all these things, and which is great and definitely an important part of the physical pen testing side. But one thing I didn't see, and I'm sure it's out there, but one thing I didn't see was, hey, how are these people getting into the building, right? What is the process of being able to say, okay, I know I'm going to be coming in disguised as whoever, or I know I'm going to go speak to that guard, or I know I'm going to be coming in at a certain time. That's very calculated. What is that process there, right? So I basically came up with my own process, where we're going to be talking about reconnaissance, surveillance, canaries, using these things to make a process where you say, okay, no matter what kind of building it is, whether it's a huge skyscraper, mom and pop Radio Shack, rest in peace, or anything else, right? You're going to be able to get in somehow. So what is that process getting up to that door, before you start doing all your lock picking and fun stuff like that? Some other common misconceptions, right? I've had this one from a client where they say, hey, Brice, have at it. Feel free to do your physical pen test. You're not going to get past the front desk, right? There's no way. We have lasers, we have biometrics, or we have 24/7 security guards. They're roving around, alarm system. We even have pressure-sensitive floors, right? And we know you're fat, so you're not going to get past those, right? So I say, okay, challenge accepted, right? Guys, I'm going to show you for the first time ever actual photographic evidence of how I get past all these measures, and in particular the pressure-sensitive pads. Hope you guys are ready. There you go. So that's me. Okay, so that's not me, but that's that's Tom Cruise in Mission Impossible. He's an actor, but I've actually never done this. But it's it's actually a lot easier than this, right? So yeah. What's another one? I've had this one. You were lucky, right? I've had where they say, you had inside knowledge, so you must have talked to someone, you must know someone at our company that told you how to get in or gave you a badge or something. I've had one client where I texted them, I think that night or something, or sent them an email that night and said, hey, I was able to get in, no problem, and they just flat out denied it. There's no way you could have got in. There's no way you could have got in and got out. Just no way. And so, unfortunately, I had to send them a picture just to kind of prove that, and not so fun. But there's going to be people that just flat out deny you. But what I did is I actually broke into your bank. These are actual companies, huge physical buildings, roving guards, federal banks, secured, right, locations where people just say, hey, yeah, no problem. There's no way someone's going to break in. We're just going to really focus on the electronic, the technical piece of it. We'll put all of our money on that, trying to prevent people from hacking in. And then we'll just hire some guards and it'll be all good. And me as a physical pen tester, hey, do that. Love it. But obviously there's more to it. Fun story on this. I literally got into one of these banks, got up to the floor, and there was a computer sitting right there. I jiggled the mouse, unlocked, right? And that's always fun, right? That's more fun than finding the sticky note with the password on it, which found quite a bit of those. But unlocked system, and actually the password was on the monitor, to be fair, on the unlocked system. And then this system would have given me access to basically, I could have put in my bank information, put the amount I wanted in, and hit send and transfer it over to me. And this is super dangerous, right? You guys understand that the severity here is because they saw that because the computer was behind a door on this floor, behind guards, all this stuff, they didn't even think to lock the system, number one, and they didn't even think to take the password away. Who else would do this? The only people that can be on this floor are authorized employees, right? So just a little complacency there. So how do I do this, right? What's the kind of overarching method of how we do this? So number one is going to be observation. So what I do here is basically, this is where I fly into the city. I have my address of the building I need to go to. I'm going to be doing obviously some OSINT, right? I'm going to go on Google Maps, Google Street View, and look around and see what I can find, right? I'm also going to be getting my cup of coffee across the street at the Dunkin' Donuts and looking at the foot traffic, people coming in, people coming out. Who are they? How old are they? What do they look like? What are they wearing? Do they have a company? Like, are they the cleaning company? Does the cleaning company use a different entrance, right? Where do the employees park? Is there a parking garage that they park maybe under the building, or do they take public transportation? I do a lot of skyscrapers and like downtown, big downtown cities. Sometimes they have those underground paths that go into a parking garage underneath, and so all of these things really come into play. And I just basically sit there and look back. I don't do anything except for just observe, right? And as you can see in my picture here, I don't know if anyone recognizes this picture, but this is actually from Home Alone, the old movie Home Alone, right? And you have Harry and Marv in a plumbing and heating van, which obviously they're not plumbers or do any HVAC, right? And they're sitting in this van, and that scene where they're like, Harry He's like, at this time in 10 seconds, this house, the lights are going to come on right now, right? And then he says right now. So he obviously got this intel, and he knows how everything works. He knows who's out of town, all this stuff, just from observing, right? And because they're professional, well, I say professional, but they're bad guys, right? So which moves into the second phase, is the reconnaissance, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit more active approach here, right? I'm going to enter the building, right? I might enter the building and just day, night, see who notices. I'm going to see if someone says, hey, what's your business here, or something like that. Obviously, I'm going to have I'm going to expect to be challenged. I'm going to have a cover, in which we'll get into all that here in a second. But you see who notices. I'm going to be in the back, maybe dumpster diving, right? Looking for some sensitive documents. And if there's a camera up there, I want to know how quickly someone might see me digging around and then come challenge me, right? Maybe they're not monitoring the cameras. I can spend hours back there and no one says anything. No one comes back there. So I'm building this profile of this building, saying, okay, what are people noticing? What are they not noticing? Visitor badges, right? Or employee badges, contractor badges, visitor badges. Do you see people walking out of the building with these just hanging? Can I get a good enough picture in my mind where I can kind of fake one? That's one of the ways I get into testing policies and procedures. So if I'm not trying to find a badge and look at someone with a badge and copy that or imitate that, so I can come in as a contractor or employee, I'm going to be testing their policies, right? So one of the things I do is I act as a delivery person. I have this fake delivery form. I come in as like 1-800 flowers or whoever the local flower company is. I'll just buy some cheap flowers or chocolates or something. I'll find someone through OSINT, through open source intelligence, LinkedIn or something like that works at that company, and I'm going to deliver a lucky person that day some flowers and some chocolates, right, from an anonymous person. But what am I actually doing, right? I'm actually going into the building. This gives me a proper cover to go into the building where I have a reason to be there. I have paperwork to make it look official and kind of back it up. And then I'm going to go up to the front desk, or maybe I'll try to just walk into the delivery entrance, right? See if that's unlocked, see if anybody notices that. Or I'll go through the regular employee elevator, see if anybody catches me or says anything there. And then if they do, or there's no way I can kind of get past that stuff, I'm obviously going to check in with the front desk. And what's the front desk going to do? Well, they're going to look at it and they're going to say, okay, yeah, that person works here, that person doesn't. They might say, okay, hey, let me call that person real quick. What's their protocol whenever visitors show up? Do they call them? Do they email them? Do they just say, oh, yeah, go on upstairs, which is a great one, by the way. Do they call a 4-digit extension rather than 7 digits, right? So that could tell me, okay, they're sitting in that building. Is they dial 4 numbers, right? You can listen to it or obviously look over the desk to see if what they're typing. Do they call 10 digits, right? That would be a cell phone number. So I know if they have cell phones or if they just have desk phones, and you'll see where all this comes into play here in a second. But that way I say, okay, I know how they're processing visitors. I know their policies of how they do this and their procedures, and I'm going to figure out where that vulnerability is, and I'm going to get right in there, right? Literally. All right, and then next is final prep, right? So once I have my plan of attack, once I know and I do all this research and poking and prodding, I'm going to go, okay, I know what time of day I'm going in because I know the guard schedule. I did my delivery in the morning, right? And this particular guard was there, or these 3 guards, and I remember their faces. So I'm going to wait doing my observation, and I know that at 2 o'clock is whenever they do a shift change, right? So after 2 is whenever I can come in again. Those people aren't going to notice me at all, right? And obviously I can do glasses and that kind of thing. We'll get into disguise here in a second, but I'm going to build that plan of attack. What time am I coming in? What am I dressed as, right? So naturally, one thing that works beautifully is if you can find through open source intelligence their ISP, they're an internet service provider, and you disguise yourself as that. You create a fake badge. I love AT&T, I love using the cover of AT&T, right? I'll have me a fake AT&T badge. I'll dress up as business casual, and I'll have this cover story that's just incredible. I'll have fake documents, and I'll just basically say, I'll throw a fake letterhead on there of the company, and I'll say, hey, this company, they said that they sent us a memo. Obviously, we work for them. they said the internet's down or the networking's down, there's a problem, whatever it is, and I'm going to go in a certain time and basically sell it, right? And I'm going to make sure I have this all down pat. Everything is top notch, and I have this plan, and then I'm gonna do it, right? Which goes to execution. All right, I'm gonna execute it, right? I'm going to go do it. It is time to walk the walk, right? So you have to sell yourself. You have to blend in. You don't want to cause a scene unless that's part of like the way you want to get in, which that's a whole nother thing. But I'm gonna blend in. I'm gonna pretend I'm supposed to be there. Business casual. That shows, hey, this guy obviously, he's a nice dresser, right? And I know that sounds silly, but that kind of stuff comes into play. Does he take care of himself? Is he kempt? These kind of things will basically make a person like you more, right? If I'm all dingy and, maybe smelly or something like that, obviously they're gonna be like, I don't know, right? So if you act like you're supposed to be there and kind of look like the typical employees that they see, their guard's going to be basically down a little bit, right? Basically be helpful, right? Extroverts are great at this. So if I'm helpful and I say, hey, I really need to do this thing. I need to go up to the top floor or the server room or whatever it is. Networking connectivity is kind of bad. I need to get this done before the morning. They're going to say, They're going to say, well, I can't leave my desk, but you just kind of gotta. I guess I can give you a badge maybe, and I'll be like, yeah, that's no problem. I don't want you to get in trouble. Right? I don't want you to get in trouble. I don't want you to leave your desk. Just give me a badge. I'll be quick. Hey, no problem. And then they go, oh, you're being helpful to me, right? I'm helping them out, right? Because they're helping me out. So, hey, no problem, right? Funny story on this. One of the clients I had, they said, hey, sorry, we can't let you in by yourself. We're going to have to get someone to escort you. We don't have any badges that we can give you. We're just not really allowed to do that after a certain time. Hey, no problem. Give me an escort, and then guess what's going to happen, right? They're going to escort me around, and then I'm going to, go through and see everything. Hey, can you take me here? Can you take me here? And guess what I have now? I have the guy with the keys to the kingdom, right? I don't even need to steal the kingdom. If they have all those sensors and pressure plates and all this stuff, that's the guy that's going to be turning it off for me. It's great, right? So a funny story is I literally got the maintenance guy to walk me around, and as he's doing it, he's like, this is actually the most secure building here in this city. I don't know if you do that or not. I'm like, no kidding. I was like, well, can you show me up to your server room? He's like, yeah, not a problem. That one's always fun to tell. So those tools and kind of tech of the badging and everything like that. This is more the human element. You have to serve it. You have to sell it. Other people asking extroverts. Yeah, JHAM. I worked with JHAM quite a bit. Definitely knows I'm an extrovert, especially when I need to be. So, but everyone enjoys their kind of alone time. Introvert kind of throw the headphones in and get to work. So just depends, but definitely more of an extrovert. So there are definitely introverts that do this stuff, and they just basically become an extrovert. And it's just, heck, this next slide right here is those acting skills, right? Gosh, we've seen so many actors where they're just kind of off like they're nuts, right? But then you put them in front of a camera, and all of a sudden they are just off the wall. Yeah, acting, and take improv classes, absolutely, right? So let me go over this, right? All right, cover story. Cover for action. There's two kinds. There's cover for action and cover for status. So you got anybody ever heard of those? So cover for action, cover for status, there is a difference, right? So cover for status is going to be the status, the reason why I'm there in the first place, right? So in the example that I brought up, cover for status would be myself as an AT&T contractor, employee. I'm there to fix things, right? I'm there to help your network, function, right? There is a problem. I need to get in and get out. I have a badge. I have, all this fun stuff. I need to get in there. That's my cover for status. That's the reason why I'm there, right? But cover for action is a little bit different. Cover for action is a little bit different because I'm going into the building, and then why are you actually using a lockpick to get into that door? Or why are you you said you're going into the server room, but why are you going into the CEO's office, right? So as a malicious guy, because I have to be malicious, whenever I'm doing this, I have to have a reason why I'm doing certain things, every single thing, why I'm doing it. Why am I taking the emergency staircase as opposed to the elevator, right? Why am I going up to a floor above where I said I was actually going to go? Now, guys, number one, let me tell you, I am the dumbest person when it comes to physical pen tests. And what I mean is I act like the dumbest person. Like if my goal was to basically distract someone, right? And I'm going to say, okay, my plan is to use directions, right? And say, hey, I don't know where to go, to basically distract someone for a long enough time. So what I would do is I would ask them directions over and over and over and over again. I would be like, wait, you said 3 lefts and then a right. And they would be like, what are you talking about, dude? I said you go straight. Like, that's it. And mind you, I mean, you use this everywhere, right? So, hey, why are you on this floor? Your document says you're supposed to be on the 12th, you're on the 15th. I'm so sorry. I pushed the button. I guess I pushed the wrong button. I mean, it's very simple. But it's super, I mean, it's just so funny because you just acting dumb, right? Nobody bats an eye. They're just like, this guy is just an idiot, right? And I'm okay with people thinking I'm an idiot because then they try to help you, right? Let me read some of this. So, yeah, nobody will ask, right? Nobody cares. A lot of the times, people will just not even bat an eye, and you'll just walk through the building and you're just trying to find someone. I remember I was looking around trying to find.
So you're kind of like an InfoSec Columbo, right?
So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, I will have. I remember I walked into this building, had a thing. I was doing my delivery, right? I didn't think the delivery ploy would work. I definitely use that. I know I talked about the delivery piece as recon, where I'm doing kind of poking and prodding, right, to see how their policies are. But I got to be honest, whenever I pulled up to the building and I had my chocolates, right, and I was ready to go with my delivery or my delivery slip and all this stuff, I see that the delivery dock door is open, right? Okay. So cool, I'm going to just walk through that door, right? And then just see how far I can get. Because, hey, I'm making a delivery. That's my cover for status, right? And why am I going to this door specifically? That's my cover for action, right? And if someone catches me, I didn't know I was supposed to go to the front desk, right? Hey, who cares? So I go right to the delivery door, right? I think it's like a UPS truck or something delivering whatever packages. And then I walk through. Nobody says anything. I take the first elevator I see. I go as high up as I can. And I just start walking around, right? And if anybody stops me and says, hey, what are you doing on this floor? Who are you? All that fun stuff. I'm trying to make a delivery to this person. Do you know who they are? Can you help me out? That kind of stuff. And then they'll be glad to help, right? They will love to help you, and they'll just walk you around the building. So I walked around that building for probably 2 hours, and no one stopped me. No one said anything except for, oh, I hope those chocolates are for me, right? So, and they just, another one, hey, I think this person's in IT. Do you know where the IT floor is? Do you know where, maybe the server room, maybe this person's in the server room. And for whatever reason, this person was like, yeah, no problem. I love to help people. Server room's down that way, right? I mean, it's just like, to what John was saying, like, it makes you just want to, after the first, second time, you're like, okay, hey, that was fun, or hey, I'm trying to help out. But if you do this over and over and over again, and no one has changed anything, you're just like, oh my goodness, right? And then you just start feeling bad, and it makes you want to cry. A lot of lonely hotel nights. Anyways, so support items, right? I think we covered cover story, right? So support items, right? This right here, if I can get it in frame here. This is a leather portfolio, right? You guys seen those? I got that for $1 at a yard sale. $1, right? And I fill it up with legal paper. I have pins in there. I have all my supporting documents. Do you know how important this makes me look? Like, I'm not an impressive guy, okay? But you get me in a button-up shirt, right? Some pins, maybe a backpack, obviously with all my gear in it, and this bad boy right here, and I hold it like this, and I walk in and I flip it open like this, and I, thumb through some pages. Yeah. You'd be surprised how important you look, and people just say, hey, yeah, no problem, right? So disguise items, clipboards, absolutely, Jeff. Clipboards work. You get you a reflective vest, a metal clipboard, and you walk into the delivery entrance or ring the bell, someone's going to go, okay, hey, no problem, cool, he's supposed to be here. I mean, easy, right? So just little items like that, and they're super cheap, right? Some other supporting items, right? Especially whenever I'm talking about cover for action, cover for status. So I carry, so I got my wallet here, right? And then you see I got a pen, and then I got a flashlight. And I always carry them with me. And I also have my wedding ring. So what I can do is, if I need to plug a USB into a system, and obviously if I'm depending on my cover, right? If I need to plug in a USB to a system whenever I'm a delivery guy because, hey, someone let me in, or let me tailgate, or the back door is open, I need to have a reason why I'm under this person's desk, especially if they're getting up to go get some coffee, and then I'm in there plugging in something, and then they come back, right, and catch me in the act. You have to have a plan for that, right? So that's going to be my cover for action. So what is it? Right? Well, I dropped my wedding ring, or I dropped one of these items right here, and I'm trying to find it on your desk. So I literally will take it out. I'll have my USB in my hand, and I'll take these items out, and I'll toss them under the desk. And then whenever I need to go back, hey, I can't find my flashlight, and the thing about a flashlight is I need it to find things, right? So that's why it's taking me so long. I mean, the things you can just make up and just be silly or fun. Someone mentioned improv class. Absolutely, take acting, acting skills. Take an improv class, acting class, whatever it is. Just start talking to people in an airport, in a bar. Obviously, not right now with the virus. Don't get close to anyone. But stiff arm them. Don't get it. And just be a great liar, right? Just be a great liar. Not to your significant other, but yeah. So, all right. So, fun fact, right? So kind of what we were talking about, a lot of these people on here, a lot of you guys saying, hey, be helpful, all that fun stuff. So 1969, scientists tested the Benjamin Franklin effect, right? And found that, yes, asking people for favors when used strategically is a tool to get them to like you more. Absolutely, right? And I think we basically covered that is if you ask somebody to help you out, I love playing the sympathy card, right? Hey, I don't want to be here either. It's 2 a.m. You got the 24-hour guard there. It's 2 a.m. They don't want to deal with anything, right? And typically the people that work the midnight shift are like the ones that typically, right, that's the crappier shift, right? It's usually the lowest level person that just got hired and they go, hey, nothing's going to happen during the nighttime. The CEO isn't going to walk by and challenge you and all that stuff. So you could just work the night shift. I love coming in during the night shift, right? Because they don't want to lose their job. I don't want to be there, right? I'm tired too. Just help me out. And they go, okay, hey, no problem. And typically they'll give me a badge, right? All too often. All right. Another great tool is, George W. Bush. George Bush gave us a great tool here, and it is confusion, patience, and persistence. This guy is my hero when it comes to physical pen testing because he is so confusing in this quote, and he just keeps on going. He keeps on chugging. He knows he is butchering this so bad, but he keeps on trucking, right? And this is what you have to do. You have to confuse this person so much and be so persistent that they just give up. Right? Whenever I went into a building one time, basically their virtual SOC from another area, they had to basically allow me access, right? They're the only people that could allow me access. And I sat there for over 2 hours basically asking for permission to the point, and obviously there's more stuff to it, but long story short, to the point where the companies, they called me up and they said, I don't know who you are and I don't care, but you need to go and do your thing and then get out. They just got tired of dealing with it. And because I was so persistent and annoying and just confused the heck out of them of what I was even doing there, right? They just, for whatever reason, let me up, right? And they just gave me access. Don't care what floors you need, have at it. We don't care, just hurry up and get out of there. Okay, perfect. George Bush, what a champ, right? So yeah, like I said, if you get challenged, confuse them. Hey, yeah, I didn't know I was supposed to be on this floor. Sorry, I'm actually trying to look for this person. We got challenged one time where we tailgated in, and basically this woman challenged us, and she said, hey, who are you? Who are you supposed to be here? And we used the cover from the person that we delivered these chocolates to, and we said, hey, we're actually looking for this person. If you could help us out. She goes, yeah, no problem. So she escorts us, and it was great on her. She challenged us, and she takes us over to the other lady, and she goes, hey, these people are looking for you. And we say, okay, hey, thanks, kind of wave her off. She leaves. And then whenever we come up to this other person's desk, we say, you know what? I actually, no, you're actually, who, sorry, your name was, yeah, it's actually not you. And then we just left, right? Guess what? We don't have our escort anymore. I mean, it's brilliant, right? We don't have our escort anymore. She doesn't know what's going on. Everyone's confused, and we're just roaming around. Now we just have to avoid that one lady that challenged us, so we're good to go, right? So patience, persistence, it pays off. Ride the elevator. We rode the elevator for, I don't know, over an hour and a half, 2 hours, right? Just riding the elevator, getting off, following someone in, right? Because people love to be helpful. They love to open doors, right? So ride it on every single floor, get off. If someone starts looking over their shoulder, you're like, let me check my phone real quick, and then wait for the next person to come in, right? So be patient, be persistent, definitely helps, right? All right, so some lessons learned, right? Lessons learned. Whenever you do this whole test, you might be the bad guy, right? Like I said, I've had clients where they say, no, there's no way you got in. I was sitting in front of several of their employees, in particular the ones that are in charge of physical security, and they were not pleased because they weren't aware of the pen test, right? And obviously, my goal is to not have anyone lose their job ever, right? I am going to make sure that everything is in place, right? And the company's doing what they're supposed to be doing, the policies and procedures are right. But there's going to be people that blame you, right? Hey, you broke this door, you broke this latch, or something like that. When you didn't, they're basically trying to figure out, why you were so successful and why, they don't want to be blamed. They don't want to lose their job, right? So you're going to have some angry people there, and just be aware of that. And at the same time, that same meeting, several people on the other side of the table who knew about the pen test, they were loving it. They were like, oh man, Brice, you did so good, right? Google Street View, not always up to date, right? We've had several times where we kind of scope out the building through Google Street View. Just be obviously doing your due diligence through OSINT, and basically see that the building is covered in construction, right? And they're working and all that stuff. But then whenever you actually show up on site, the building's complete, and maybe there's a new restaurant downstairs that you didn't know about. So you have to be flexible on that, on that regard. Things change. And then sometimes it's the opposite. Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, I can definitely use this Dunkin' Donuts that's in the lobby of this building, and I can just kind of chill and drink coffee. And then you show up and they destroy the Dunkin' Donuts, So you got to be flexible. You got to have a plan there. But sometimes it shows some interesting things. OSINT is, in particular with Google Street View. We had a client where the Google camera, or the vehicle, took a picture of their loading dock while it was open. Right. And they were just obviously passing by and taking pictures. You know how it goes. But still, if you're, your company, do a Google Street View of your building, see if there's any badges that are being displayed, any doors that are left open, any kind of sensitive information where you might have to contact Google and be like, hey, can you guys come take a new picture? Or can I give you a new picture, or don't use this, or black it out, or, whatever the case may be. So. Leadership, CEO, COO, CFO, they don't always sit on the top floor. Sometimes it's 4 floors. The full suite is, 4 floors deep, and you ride up to the top, and then you got to walk up another floor, or you ride up to the top floor, and that gives you access to another elevator that only goes up to the executive floors. You never know. And then also IT, sometimes IT sits in the middle of the building, typically. But I'll tell you what's great is, usually everything's nicely decorated. So whenever you pop up on a floor and you say, hey, this has marble floors and all the other ones were just tile, I think I'm on a pretty important floor, right? I want to get off on this floor and check it out. And then you might have floor where, hey, you hear loud servers. That's always a nice tell, is, you hear loud servers whenever you get on a floor, and you're like, okay, this is where I want to be as well. And then when in doubt, there's usually a building directory somewhere laying around. I snatch those things up, and I just start reading it like a book. I'm like, all right, yeah, we're going to go to 13 now, and then we're going to go to, it's great. Oh, and I guess floor 13 doesn't really exist sometimes. Sometimes it's 14, so just be aware of that too. Doing these, I know I was talking about remediation testing, and several of our clients have gotten remediation testing, where I got in the first time, and they say, okay, Brice, hey, okay, cool, you were lucky, like you did it, but you're not going to do it again. We're going to do it this year again, and we're going to fix some things. You were able to lockpick your way up through these floors. You bypassed security because you showed them a fake badge, real cool, but you're not going to be able to get in here this time. Well, that's all great, but whenever I came back the second year, I actually hit them worse, right? I convinced the person, the front desk person, to give me a badge, right, using the contractor cover. So. hey, that was great. And multiple clients like that, I'm still batting 1,000, right? I'm batting 1,000 in as far as I've never came across a building I haven't been able to get in. And then I'm batting 1,000 on my remediation testing right now, where I give our clients the tools they need, and they've implemented some of them. But here's the thing, I find another way to get in, right? I find another vulnerability, and I'm going to use that as well. So always constantly improving, but sometimes I hit them a little bit worse, and they're not too pleased with that. And then, so my foolproof way, I call it my foolproof way, is that contractor badge, and pretending I'm who I am. I obviously get in a couple different ways, but that's always a great one, especially when these buildings are set up the same. But when in doubt, hey, just tailgate in, right? Do it the old-fashioned way, just tailgate in. I love to cause a scene, maybe yell or scream or trip or something, and everyone looks at you, right? Even on the cameras, they all look at you, and then your buddy goes and follows someone in or jumps over the gate or something like that. So when in doubt, just tailgate in. And hey, your glass doors, they look pretty. I know a lot of buildings I've been in, they have these glass doors, and God, they look so good. But that does nothing for your security, right? Especially if I can get to that floor, I can peek in there, I can see that it's a rec sensor or mag lock or any of the following, right? Or I can come up under the door and use it. I mean, come on. They're nice, but they're just for security. They're just silly. Like I said, still batting 1,000. So come at me if you want. So how to stop me, right? How to stop me. So these training policies, build them out. Make sure they're there. Take this scenario. Okay, I have a building. I don't want Brice getting in here. How do we process visitors? Who do we call? How do we do it? Do we send them an email? All that stuff, and test those, right? But check the policies. It's not the individual's fault, right? I've had clients where they say, okay, who was it that let you in, right? Who was this person that let you in, this front desk security person? Who was working that night, right? And I say, hey, listen, it doesn't matter who it was. It could have been you working and sitting at that desk. My method is the same. It's never going to change, and the way I go about it, it could have been you sitting at the desk, and you still would have let me in because there's not a process for it. You don't have anything in place, and there's no training. There's no training for this. So have that in place. Make sure there's no vulnerability there. So prevent tailgating. Seriously, I don't care if you've been working with Joe for 20 years and you've been sitting next to him every single day from now on. You slam the door in Joe's face. You do not open the door for Joe. I don't care, right? Because here's the thing: Joe could have gotten fired last night without you knowing, right? And then now he's showing up. Maybe they forgot to revoke his access to his badge, or they did, and then you're letting him in, right? You're letting him in, going behind you to do who knows what, right? A disgruntled employee, not always an adversary, or your third-party adversary, if you will. And this employee wants to do harm to the organization that just fired him or laid him off, right? And you were responsible for that. So you don't want to be responsible because, hey, you might lose your job now, or it might cause havoc and shut the company down, right? You never know. Shut that door in that person's face. Hide your badges. So many times I've just wandered around, whether it's their campus or downtown or something, and especially during the summertime. Wintertime it's a little bit harder because everyone has their jackets on, but they just have their badges out, right? They just have their badges out, and I can and to enough where I can just say, hey, excuse me, sir or ma'am, I need directions to whatever. I'm not from here. And I, again, being the dumbest person, you said 3 lefts and a right, and they sit there for 10 minutes trying to explain something simple to me so I can just get a good look at their badge, right? And then I go make a fake one, and I can get in that way. Validate all visitors with employees, right? So if I'm saying, oh, hey, I'm here to see John Strand in this building, I would expect the front desk people to say, okay, well, we're going to have John Strand come down and verify you are who you say you are and basically escort you around, right? So that will cut out a lot of this, of what I'm talking about. Just make sure an actual employee, and mind you, the employee needs to verify who they are, right? With that contractor kind of memo that I was referring to, I'm going to put a actual employee's name on the bottom of that signed this memo, and then I'm going to have a name under it, or a number under it. And I'm going to say, hey, it's going to say, call this cell phone number to basically verify with this employee that Brice is supposed to be here. And guess who that number goes to? It goes to a Rendition InfoSec employee. And then that employee, right, they pick up the phone, they go, oh, yeah, I'm client so-and-so, and yep, give them whatever they need, access to whatever, it's not a problem. And they go, okay, sir, no problem, I don't want to get in trouble. So not only do you have to verify the visitor with an employee, but verify the employee as well, police each other. Definitely police each other. Like I said, shut doors in people's face. Hey, where's your badge at? I didn't see your badge. I didn't see you badge in. And then don't provide sensitive information over the phone. Who's your ISP, right? Who's your contractor that fixes this, that, and the other? So don't provide that information. I know I see a lot of questions in here. I'm going to get to them. So here's some frequently asked questions. Last 2 slides here. What happens when you get caught, right? So you have a get out of jail free card, right? You get out of jail free letter. It's basically this piece of paper that's actually signed by the client, and it basically says, hey, if you see Brice, this is what's going on. He's doing some nefarious stuff. Call this number, the actual number, and then we'll verify it. Now that being said, you can carry around a fake get out of jail card, right? Basically, if I have this fake one and someone gets challenged to the point, now before they call the cops, but to the point where they say, who are you? Oh my God, I'm going to kick you out. And you say, all right, hey man, you caught me. You did great, right? Here's my fake letter. I don't say fake, but here's my letter. Call this person. That number is going to go to Rendition, right? And then they're going to say, okay, cool. I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to put you in for a raise. I'm going to tell your boss you did great, but let's go to that server room. I got to finish out. I have a job to do. You understand? They go, yeah, no problem. Jake will tell you that, what's really tough is trying to explain the real letter from the fake letter to cops when you're in handcuffs, right? So just, be cautious there. But so what if the get out of jail letter doesn't work? Just be patient. Try to explain yourself. You are supposed to be there. You're legally supposed to be there. Make sure your statement of work is, written out very detailed, right? Make sure it's concise of what you're actually supposed to be doing, where you're supposed to be doing it, that fun stuff. So what are some other creative ways to get in? Hey, are there any floors available for rent? Maybe floor 15 through 16. I have this startup business. I want to invest. I want to buy floors for all my employees, or I'm shopping. I'm a secret shopper for Google or whoever. I want to buy these floors, and they go, oh yeah, no problem. We'll take you a tour. So you can at least see maybe how they process visitors, how the elevators work, all that good stuff. Hey, where do you take in mail? Oh, we take it to the mailroom. Or hey, how are deliveries made? Oh, let me show you the delivery dock, right? So all these things are going to give you this information. It's a great way to get some information there. And maybe, hey, I got to use the bathroom. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, it's down the hallway. And then I'm going to leave that person to go do what I got to do. Looking for a job, same thing. They might interview you, right, in the lobby, but maybe they take you up to the 8th floor. Hey, this is where you're going to be working. Let's go ahead and talk. So they're going to let you in to an area you're not supposed to be. And then what do you do? What do you look for when you get in? I obviously look for sensitive information that would be detrimental if it got out, that I want the client to be aware of. PII, PHI, all that fun stuff, HIPAA information. Accesses, right? Can I access the server room? Can I access the CEO's office? Can I access all these different things? And then candy. So if you're going to be one of my clients and you want this done, leave some Reese's peanut butter cups. Those are my favorite. Leave those out. I'll definitely steal those off your desk. So I guess it's like Santa Claus, except I steal rather than give you gifts, and I still eat candy. Questions? There's a couple good ones. I know pop up here. Ever go on site at new construction buildings? I've gone on site to, where they're doing construction of a building. It is easy, right? Because they're just going to have plywood doors, no locks or anything like that. But also, mind you, they might be doing construction in the building and you didn't know about it. So you might be like, hey, I need to go to floor 17 and 18. And they go, that's weird. Like that's where construction's going on. So you better have a cover to basically figure that out and kind of, stray away from there. Be like, oh, maybe they meant 7 and 8 instead of 17 and 18. Jeff admitting that he's pretty bad at physical pen tests. That's always fun. I love Jeff. He's so fun. What have you done? Let's see. What have you done to bypass reception that requires pre-scheduled appointment to allow? Okay. Yeah. So what have you done to bypass reception or front desk security that requires a pre-scheduled appointment to allow a vendor or contractor into the bank? Hey, guess what? It's 1 a.m. It's a networking issue. It's an emergency. They just put it in, or they didn't have time to put it in, or they didn't put it in, right? Not my job. So sorry. And it's just selling it, right? And if they're good, they say, hey, sorry, this is how it goes. But the thing is then it's, okay, this security person will say, well, if I don't let them in and they said that this needs to be done by the morning, then I might get in trouble, right? So, okay, sure, maybe it's just a one-off, right? And I've had that too where they say, hey, we don't typically do this, but I'm going to call your contact to make sure it's good. And then sure enough, we have had, whenever we actually did get denied, we and then we, got in another way, we did have it where they actually called and they said, hey, this is just not how it works. And we got turned away. So yeah, stick to your policies, right? Yeah, hand deliver flowers to your friends when you aren't testing, get past nerves, awkwardness. Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, do some practice, right? I just feel bad for the individuals I like give flowers to or chocolates to, and then, they go, "Oh, hey, honey, like I got flowers. Thank you so much for those flowers and chocolates that you gave me today." And they'd be like, "Yeah, man. Yep, I did that. No problem." Right? Or it's just that awkward conversation, and hopefully I didn't ruin any relationships there. But I love fun and RFID badges, help with these assessments, you do that type of approach. So yeah, I love social engineering because I just love talking to people. And the thing is that's why I love physical pen testing, is because, computers, it's one or zero. It's either on or off. If you're testing, if RDP is dogs are going crazy here. If you're testing for RDP, is it open or is it closed? That's the only option. Is it up or down? With humans, there's that third. It's yes, no, or hey, maybe I'll let you in, and it depends on the day and depends on the person. Have you had any anti-robbery training to avoid doing things that raise red flag? Okay, yeah. So I've had training. Like, you can read my little bio there, but I basically had tactical training. Surveillance, counter surveillance, cover training, all that fun stuff. Hitting main offices and not retail. We'll hit satellites. We'll hit satellite buildings. We'll hit the main office, like the huge skyscrapers, sometimes like an off-site, a DR site, right? A disaster recovery site. We'll hit those as well. And obviously the approach has to be a little bit different. So do you have a preference for caller ID spoofing? I don't have a preference. Honestly, whatever works. So I'll look into that, though. I appreciate that. Hit me with the link. Using really strong, smelly Chinese food all over reception as a distraction. I love it. These are the best candy to fight me. Absolutely. Best candy.
So we're now fighting over candy. Is that it?
Well, it's the candy that I want people to leave at their desk when I get into the building as a little treat for me, Yeah. It's a struggle. It's a struggle working at 2 a.m. in a building and not having that pick me up. So.
It does. It helps. And candy makes everything better. It's like, I hacked you, but here's some candy. Although I did have one customer talking about physical pen tests. They're like, we want you to get to the network operations center on the 3rd floor. And I broke in, and then I started walking around the 3rd floor, terrified I'm going to get caught, terrified that I'm going to get caught, walking around. I can't find the knock. I just can't find the server room. I can't find the closet. I can't find anything.
Been there.
And it's the circle building, so I'm walking around, and then finally I just sat down in the office of one of the security people that had hired me, and I waited for him to come back. He walks in, he's surprised to see me, and he's like, "How did you even get in here?" I'm like, "Well, I did this and this to social engineer my way up." He goes, "Where's the network operations center? You guys told me to get there." He starts laughing. He goes, "Dude, there is no network operations center. We were just messing with you." So.
That's great.
Right.
That's great. Hey, thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate it. Thanks, Wild West Hacking Fest again. Really appreciate it, John. Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate the kind words, guys. It's great. Feel free. I'll have my the Discord up for a little bit. If you want to shoot me a DM, any questions or anything like that. If I missed something, feel free to hit me up. Hey, guys, really appreciate it. Thank you so much.